Hey everyone, welcome to another video within the Ask Shane series. This video is brought to you by the Academy of Holistic Mediumship in working partnership with www.shanegan.com. So we've got a real corker of a question this week. The questions keep coming and they are always so thought-provoking. So the question that we're going to explore this week is very apt to where we find ourselves in time and place. So a couple of evenings ago, working with a wonderful lady who towards the end of her consultation shared with me some of her heartfelt thoughts and beliefs, and she turned to me and she said, "So Shane, how do you celebrate Easter, and what does Easter mean to you?" And I thought, what, really important question. But for us to explore that question, we need to kind of very gently go back to its roots, okay, to its origins. Now its origins go back to what was known as Ostera, okay, so Ostera, which is a old Germanic name, and it moved across northern Europe, and Ostera actually was a goddess, okay, but more about her in a moment. So we have Ostera, Ostera, okay, see the change, Ostera, and then Easter, okay. Now Ostera, picture this if you may. Ostera was a goddess that had this long fiery red hair, and a cloak and a dress that was made with every flower that you can ever imagine. And what she symbolizes is springtime. She symbolizes renewal. She symbolizes, with her long red hair, she symbolizes fire and the sun, okay, so fiery red hair. So Ostera, the time, Easter is actually a fire festival, and what she really stood for was the rebirth, and here's the key, okay, the resurrection of the sun, the resurrection of the land itself. And if you can picture this, Ostera with her beautiful long red hair and her cloak and dress that was made of 1,000 flowers, she was riding her chariot that was pulled by what was said 40 hares, and as she was pulled across the land, she was casting seeds, okay, and she was breathing back life into the land itself. She was awakening the trees, and she was awakening the ancient places and the old places, and she was bringing everything back into renewal, okay. And I think the key there is that she represents the resurrection of the land, the resurrection of the sun, okay. Think about the Easter story, and you think about the Christian tradition and its story. What they're talking about there is the resurrection of the sun. They're talking about the resurrection of the Son, the Son of God. They're talking about Christ and the resurrection of Christ. But what we're really talking about here is the resurrection of the solar sun, okay, hence her long fiery red hair. She represents fire, she represents the sun, she represents renewal, okay. So all the clues are there, and there's this beautiful story that really kind of weaves together some of the other traditions and some of the other stories that actually at some level they don't quite connect, but when you understand their origins and their roots, they really do connect. So we all know of the Easter Bunny, yeah, the Easter Bunny that goes around delivering eggs to the children of the land. And you think to yourself, well, you know, a bunny laying eggs, where has that come from? Now here's the beautiful story. So the story says that Ostera, riding her chariot of 40 hares, there's the beginnings of the clue, chariot of 40 hares across the landscape, across the land, casting her seeds of renewal and vitality and resurrection. And she come across this injured raven. Now if we think about ravens, we think of crows and we think of jackdaws and even magpies. They are what's known as the messenger birds. They're the birds that carry the messages from the other world. They carry the messages from the afterlife. So, you know, Ostera would have held great reverence for this messenger bird and this raven, and would have seen it as an omen, and quite possibly it could have been one of Odin's birds. So she would have held great reverence for the raven. And the story goes that she jumped off her chariot and she got down on her knees and she cradled this raven closely to her body, and then she started to breathe life back into it. She started to resurrect it, and in doing so she knew that because it had been injured so much, so deeply, so badly, that what she actually done as she breathed life back into it, she actually transformed it into a hare. But in honor of the raven and it being a bird and honoring its origins, she once a year allowed it to remember that it was once a raven. So even though she had transformed it into a hare, she allowed it to once a year to remember that actually once it could fly and once it was a raven. And she allowed it to remember in its form and guise as a hare, and she allowed it to lay an egg, but not just any egg. She allowed it to lay a golden egg. When we think about that for a moment, the symbology and the meaning and the message in there is the resurrection, the renewal, the transformation, the vitality, breathing life back in, and also, you know, the raven, dark transformation into the hare, which has so many associations to the goddess, has so many associations to the goddess, and you can see why. You know, at springtime the hares are really celebrating, you know, and running wild. You know, you've heard that saying, mad as a March hare, you know, just rising with all that energy. You know, it's a beautiful story, and these stories actually weave in the origins and the roots of so much more. And I just absolutely love that story of Ostera coming across the raven and breathing life and vitality and transforming it from a raven into a hare, but allowing it to remember that once upon a time it was a raven, and in honor of that, the hare lays an egg, which makes sense now to the Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny running around delivering eggs. So, you know, beautiful stories that do hold so much teachings. Now, I got asked, what is it that you do at Easter, Shane? You know, on the turn of the wheel, quite often we go down to my dad's woodland, and we have done for a while now, and we will honour the turn of the wheel, and we will hold a very simple ritual and ceremony, and we will leave an offering of oats and honey for the land, for the animals, for those that have come before us and those that are yet to come, for our community, for all those that we hold dear, and we will raise Odin's horn, and offer a libation of mead to the land, and we just perform a very gentle ritual and ceremony, and we've done that for a little while now. My dad, when he first obtained the land, and there was this kind of boggy part of the woodland that was next to the woodland lake, and in there was these large pieces of sandstone, and I'm talking about real large pieces of sandstone, and they were just poking their head above the surface, and there was a couple of sandstone like type shaped blocks, and there was almost, if you can picture a tabletop of sandstone, and it was there. And then as time went by, a little bit of time went by, it sunk. The land swallowed it. The land absorbed it. Now, in the last few weeks, those sandstone blocks, and they are huge, have surfaced. They've resurrected. They've come up to the surface. They've showed themselves. And my dad smiled and said, that is exactly what we can do this coming Easter. As a family, we will, within our woodland grove, we will pull them out of that bog, as they've shown themselves, as they've surfaced, as they've resurrected, and we will build ourselves a beautiful stone altar that then we can leave our offerings of oats and honey. And we smiled, and it was this feeling as if the land was bestowing a gift upon us, as if the land was saying thank you to us, and in honor of that, we're going to build this sandstone altar, and then very gently, together as a family, involving the little ones, we will decorate some eggs, natural eggs. We'll decorate some eggs with natural colours and natural dyes, with some beautiful patterns, get little ones involved so they can decorate these eggs, and then we will leave them on the altar. For the animals to reclaim. And you think about an egg as a symbol. The egg is such a powerful symbol. It's a symbol of birth. It's a symbol of birth of a whole new life, hatching. You think about the winter. The winter is that time where all the seeds they drop down deep into the earth, and then come spring they hatch, resurrect, give birth. All the symbology is there. So we get little ones involved, and then we decorate that altar, and we will dress that altar, and we'll hold a very simple ceremony. We'll hold Odin's horn up to the light, and honour all those that have come before us, all those that are yet to come, and the land and its people. And then we will gently sit round the fire, and we will share the story of Ostera, which is a wonderful thing to do. And then we'll take the little ones on a little egg hunt. These are really simple things, but they in a way harmonise you, and connect you to time and place. And for me, it brings about a sense of deeper meaning. I haven't wanted for many years now, but in the last 3-4, not wanting just to move through these what I consider as gateways of time. I always remember, growing up and feeling that there was something really missing with Christmas, and as a kid I loved the idea of Father Christmas visiting, of course, and gathering around the table, but the story of Christmas wasn't quite adding up for me. You know, the story of winter solstice had so much more meaning, and that's what for me, what I'm trying to inspire people to do is find meaning to these gateways of time. You know, not to gently or forcefully just rip through them and move through them and just devour 10 million eggs without a sense of connecting to what really is happening. But these are just my thoughts. Hope you've enjoyed that. Hope that stirred up some thought to maybe how you could be inspired to celebrate your Ostera, Easter, and you know, what it could mean. Love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your feelings, love to hear what this means to you. And in the meantime, as always, keep shining, and I really wish you the brightest of Osteras. Until next time.